Today, over 1 billion children in the world live in poverty. At Help Heal Humanity, our goal is to connect children in need with people like you who want to make a difference. Our student sponsorship program helps provide children with the necessities for a healthy and successful start to life. When you sponsor a student, you're not only giving them the gift of education, you're giving them the best chance for a brighter future. 100% of your donation supports the tuition fees, uniforms, textbook, and school supplies needed to thrive in a safe and healthy learning environment. Sponsor a student now and be the catalyst for their brighter future.
Not my skill set, nor do I want to learn it.
Sometimes, because I put up stuff which I kind of test
in the wilderness. I don't know if I was the best one to teach them that. However, and although it was a really
that when you said, I was like, oh,
the baby out with the bathwater.
I do know where that.
So for me, rather than doing something half-heartedly or like just half. Hello, Miss Beckley. How are you doing today?
I am doing fabulous. You too, Queen?
I am doing very well. And I just want to, for all of you, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you are listening to this show, I want to welcome you to the Time to Shine Happiness Show. And I am so excited. We are going to dive into something that's truly special. Yes. And it's about women. How women are embracing the new thing of reinventing aging, having new opportunities, making their voices heard.
Yeah.
I'm so excited because we have two incredible guests today, Gail and Catherine, and I'm just so excited for you to meet them. But here at Time to Shine, we want to share inspiration. We want to share joy and help you, our audience, to absolutely. And there's my alarm going off, which I totally forgot about. Sorry about that. I see you. Can you tell? Yeah. Anyways, so we are going to be. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Barbara Ellison, and I am a life transition mentor, and I work with late career business professionals to help them go from being burned out and unhappy to living their best life. And I do it through mind-body architecture. So I am so excited to be here, and I want to just, Miss Beckley, you are my fabulous co-host and producer. So absolutely love that you're here.
Throwing the love to you and everybody else that's watching. And I am Barbara J. Beckley because we really want to get these queens on here. So my name is Barbara J. Beckley. I am a purpose, visibility, strategist, extraordinaire, consultant, whatever title you want. What I do is basically help people really understand the true meaning of their purpose in their life. What God put them on this earth for. And then that point, not just a title. It's not just a title. It's more than that what you do. And then from that point, you got to be visible to not only help yourself grow, but you help other people grow. So I help people with that by having their own shows, branding, everything that is needed so people can say, hey, look at Barbara Ellison. That's what I do. Just real quickly, Bar, I got to give you some love really quick. To this day, I love how you brand yourself with your glasses. Awesome. I love it.
Thank you, because you know what, I've had people on both sides of it. Oh, Barb, they're a little, and I've had other people like you that say, oh, you love it. But this is one of the things that we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah.
Is because we have to redefine who we are, especially as we age.
Yeah.
Breaking out of those stereotypes.
Mm-hmm.
That, like I was brought up that, you didn't wear bright glasses and bright lipsticks because professional women are conservative. And, and I was like, oh, brother, that let me out. you know, because
You missed the memo.
I missed the memo on that. And yet for the longest time, I absolutely tried to do it. I tried to do it. And looking back, I realized that for the first 60 years of my life, I was living through that lens. And it wasn't anything that was specifically said. It was just the feeling.
Yeah.
You know? And
and it's sometimes it could be, like you said, the feeling, like you said, like everybody grew up in a different decade of their life. So we're all picking up some of the things that we were raised on or people said at that time. You know, I'm still getting used to these new words now. Somebody told me hello is a whole different compared to what we used to say. But then I had to go back and think when in the 60s and 70s, we were saying stuff where our parents were like, what? You know, so I always had to say, okay, Barbara, don't get so upset with the new generation, because when you were in your generation back ago, they were looking at us like we were crazy.
Right. You know, and even just some of the words, like, I'm going to tell on myself. A couple of years ago, I had a whole conversation with one of my grandkids.
I know
whole conversation. And I had no idea what we were talking about. Because it was that generational gap. And but it was a great, and it was like, afterwards, it was like, wow, Grammy, thanks for listening. And we had a great conversation, but right at that moment, I had no idea how that, but I've since now learned some of it, because the generations, we can learn from each other.
Yes. And that, I'm glad you said that, because we have to be open to learning and not fighting it. You know, a lot of things, especially when you get older, and I have to say it, and it's a word that's being used all the time when we get older. Oh, you're set in your ways, you're da-da-da. Well, you know what? We have to get out of that. And I know a lot of people that are like my age, your age, older, we have put in our minds now not to get set in our ways, because we should always be growing no matter what age we are. And we can get so much from the other generations behind us. Yeah.
And I think it comes down to that we have to be willing to, to continue to learn, to mentor others that are just starting their journey, and be willing to contribute to the process. Because it's in those things that we keep ourselves energized, engaged, relevant.
Relevant, really big point. Yeah, because if we just stay in our, you can't, and I hate the other thing too, when they say you can't teach the old dog new tricks. Oh, I hate those. Every time I hear stuff like that, I'd be like, and that's when I really push myself, Barbara, to learn some things and get some things, because I'm like, no. I'm not the old dog, and you can teach me some tricks.
And I'm willing to learn some new, and yet I have people say to me all the time, "Ooh, gee, Barb, you do so many things." Well, yeah. And your point?
That's your point.
Yeah.
What do you want to say about that?
What? That's because that keeps this is keeping me young and vibrant. And yet I've had other people say, well, gee, Barb, I can't believe you do all the things that you do. Yeah, I do them because I can, and I'm learning how to do more things.
Yes.
Because I want my life, now that I'm in my 70s, to be full of possibilities, to reinvent myself however many times I can.
Yeah. How many times? Yeah, over and over. I always tell people, long as you're living and breathing on this earth, you can, the sky's the limit.
Yeah, and God has a plan for you.
And God has a plan for you. You're still here I said, when I wake up every morning, I'm like, okay, Lord, you got something else for me to do, because I'm wide awake and I'm moving forward, and I can move these limbs and I can do what I need to do. But so this goes right into the wonderful two queens. We got not one queen, but we have two queens.
We have two queens. And we are so excited to have them on, because we're gonna dive into their journeys and hear how they're creating a whole movement for women who are in their later decades, who are over 50. And in my case, I'm over 70. I was going to say just over 70, but you're not. So I just said I didn't want to lump you as they think, oh, gee, Barb's over 70. No, but myself and our guests are all over 70. Yeah. And yet there is so much life left to us. So we're going to have a great conversation.
And I just have to say, just to give them love, because I know we're going to have a good conversation. They're going to give us some good golden nuggets. But I want to put this out here because I might not even have a chance to really say too much. I want to listen to them. These women, and I just met them. Barbara been knowing them for a while. She's been talking to them. Okay. But you're talking about some superpower queens. They look like royalty. I mean, I was telling them, I said, you're dressed alike almost. You look beautiful. I couldn't tell. I want to, when I get 70, I want to look like the three of you. That's what I want that. Give me the youth. I want that when I get a little bit older. So Thank you, Barbara, for bringing them on. But we have to go to our sponsors. We got to give some love. Our sponsors, they want that love. Yep. So let me see which sponsor we have that's going to give the love today. And we'll be right back.
For the past 5 years, Help Heal Humanity has successfully run an elementary school in Canaan, Haiti. Due to COVID-19, the political unrest, and the recent earthquakes, food is scarce. The students attending our program are coming to school starving, and therefore causing a disruption in their academic goals. We need your help, now more than ever, to provide these students with the nourishment they need to continue their education. Our goal is to raise $100,000 so we can feed 100 kids lunch daily and send them to school in the upcoming year. Thank you for your support.
Yay, they're here.
So excited. Hi, Gail. Hi, Catherine. Okay, I'm going to brag on them for a little minute. I was on their podcast, Women Over 70. Oh. It was such a great time. And I've listened to several podcasts since then. And I mean, they have it together. Just saying.
I can tell. Like I said, I just met them and they already showed me some things that I got to do some changes and tweaks. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad that, first of all, welcome to the Time to Shine Happiness Show with the BBs. As you can tell, we're the BBs, me and Barbara. And I'm just going to sit back and learn right now. I mean, this is heaven to me right now. So thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.
Happy to be here.
So what we really like to do is before we even start, because I always like to kind of pull back the curtain and kind of see, for you because I know you two together are co-host podcasters, but before all that and everything that you do, what made you decide to kind of really, be advocates or coach or whatever you do to this point?
Well, it seems like a long time ago now. We've been doing this for 6 years.
Okay.
And we're in our 6th year. And I met Catherine when I was a graduate student at DePaul University. And it turned out that she was my faculty advisor. And so we just kind of hit it off. I didn't know she hit it off with all her students, but I felt like she really hit it off with me. And so after I graduated in 2015, 9 years ago, 10, it's almost 10 years ago now. We just kept meeting for dinner and talking, and both of us were so interested in women's issues, all ages. Catherine had conducted a few studies. I was an entrepreneur for women business owners for many, many years. And one day I said to her, I want to do a podcast, and this is what I want to do. I want to interview with 70 women over 70. And she said, without knowing anything about it, she just turned to me and said,
I'm in. I had been working on the faculty at DePaul University for over 3 decades. And one of the things I loved doing there was teaching courses on women's issues. Mm-hmm. And the students that I was fortunate enough to mentor, the majority were women. Mm-hmm. Like, not everyone's like Gail, but they were, very brave and dedicated to learning and wanting to make a difference. So I've always had a special interest in women and women's aspirations and accomplishments and their stories. And I was thinking about retiring. So And then that came along a little faster than I expected. So I really wanted to be doing something meaningful right away. And when Gail told me about her vision, I thought, well, this is perfect. I get to talk with women. I get to continue learning. I get to use my interviewing skills. It's perfect. It's an ideal platform. So, and it has been.
Yeah, it's been, you said 6 years. That's commend. I just want to commend you and congratulate you for that.
Yeah.
And we still like each other. We still talk together all the time. We wear the same clothes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now I got to get some red glasses, Barbara. Okay, I'll get some red glasses so we can match like these two.
Well, you need black ones like I have. Then we'll be,
Oh yeah, then we'll be crisscrossed.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah.
So I love with the women in their 70s show that you do. I know you talk a lot about different women, aspects of women. Is it just that age, that generation, or you just kind of pick different topics that's going on with women?
You know what? It's really kind of a legacy show.
Okay.
In that we want women to tell their stories, to share their journeys. And so when we interview them, we're interested in how their lives have turned out, what they've learned as they've aged, and how they've been reimagining aging. And so we give them full, opportunity to speak about who they are and what they're doing. And we interview women 70 to 110. 110 is the oldest woman we've interviewed so far.
Oh,
Can you imagine?
I can imagine that conversation. Wow.
Right. And every month we run Aging Reimagined Circle programs. And today we had a wonderful program about little C creativity with Janice Johnston. And she was one of our guests.
Mm-hmm.
She was terrific. And she's in her, what is she, Catherine? In her late 70s?
Yeah, mid to late 70s. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we just find women, they come to us. We're like a magnet. They just come to us. And there they are, like you, Barbara, when you came to us.
Wow.
Yeah, because I saw one of your little snippets on LinkedIn, and I went, "Ooh, I want to connect with her." And then,
Right.
it's been fun.
We also interview some women who are younger than 70, and that's because they're in our Advocate for Women Aging series, so they have some expertise in some aspect of aging. So we have both experts, and then we have women who are experts on their own lives who are talking about aging experience.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I was about to say, because I'm trying to qualify somewhere, so I might qualify in that part. It may be if I come onto the show. So that would be so neat. But what I love about what you do, like you said, you're getting the women's stories from 70 and up. I mean, 110. That's blowing my mind right now. Still, that we can learn so much. That's why I always tell people, please keep your ears and your eyes open when you're hearing people much older than you talk about things and what's going on. Because a lot of the times, what's going on right now, they dealt with it 500-600 other times before. They kind of understand what's going there, and they know how to basically change, be flexible, whatever the case may be. I mean, if they have their minds open to that.
Mm-hmm.
So I love how you bring in the stories in to teach us, as other generations, to understand how to move in life.
Right.
I just want to make sure that listeners know that the Aging Reimagined Circle, the monthly programs, is open to women of any age.
Yes, for sure.
It's just that we limit the interviews to women 70 and older.
Right. And I think one of the things for me is that so often people, as they age, they think we talked about a little bit in the first, that we think that we're not relevant anymore, and that people aren't going to want to hear from us, or they're not going to accept what we say, or they're, whatever. But you know what? There's a lot of younger people out there that have no idea how to handle the everyday issues. They just react rather than learning how to respond.
Well, one of the missions of our missions of our podcast is to take away that feeling that people are irrelevant as they age, because they absolutely are not. They are totally relevant and should be part of the whole intergenerational conversation that needs to go on in workplaces, in life, in daily living.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because I have I'm in the Toastmaster world too. That's another organization I'm part of. So the group, I have a professional group that's a little bit higher than the regular Toastmaster club, because we do leadership and communication. We talk about that. But most of the individuals that are in the group are like 55 and up. And the ones that are like in their like 69 or something like that, they always tell me, they're like, they get upset. And they say, Barbara, I get so upset at society right now, because don't they know they're passing up good talent when they pass up age groups from 60 and up? And he just, his name is Dan. I love him to death. But he gets so involved in that. So now he's starting this like podcast type of thing, where he wants people to understand that just because we're over a certain age, that doesn't mean that we're golden. And you need to step back and kind of look at what we're talking about, instead of just putting us, he always just puts the pastor. And I'm like, well, I've never put you to pastor, Dan. He's like, I know you. So now you got to tell everybody else not to do that. Well, part of realize how that is, this is so much of that, in a sense, in certain areas going on, especially in the corporate and the workforce sometimes.
Part of that too, Barbara, that of what we do is to bring to light the inner ageism that we might have. I mean, some of us actually believe these stereotypes. Mm-hmm. So that's the first step, is awareness. What are the ageist notions that we're holding about ourselves and other people? And then we have to learn to be better advocates. We have to speak out. And that's something that I'm really committed to now in this decade, for sure.
Right. I'm so glad you said that, Catherine, because I always have to remind him too. I said, well, see, it starts with you. You can't keep saying in your mind, because it's going to come out and people's going to see that and hear that from you. So, you have talent and everything. You got to say that. Don't be the negative part of, the age part. Let's be the positive, and then people will resonate with you. So I'm working with him. I'm making sure that, his talent is not being passed by, because his whole thing is about, us as older people, we have talent, but it seems like people are passing us by. But if you think that way, like you just, Catherine, then it's going to be that way in your life and what you think, So you got to start with yourself.
And also in what you do.
Yeah, what you do, yeah.
So if you're not out there doing things, then you're going to be seen as someone who is old and, and maybe has no brain activity anymore, but surely you do. And so it's how you are out there. We had a woman, her name is Susan Bauer, and she is involved with underwater diving to clean ponds and to save turtles. And she's 85 years old. And she put together a group, and they clean ponds everywhere. They dive down into these messy, dirty water ponds, and they clean out debris so that turtles can survive. 85 years old.
85 years old. Right? And she does the diving and everything.
She's the ringleader.
Yeah.
Can't tell me, yeah. That's why I get so upset when people say certain. I'm like, no. Or people be like, well, I can't do that. And they're like in their 40s and stuff like that. I say, you know what? You have no excuses. I can show you some queens that are sitting there doing some things that they would like run around you with some stuff. But
Barb, last night I'm on a ladies bowling league on Monday nights. And last night the team that we were bowling, one of the gals there, we celebrated a month or so ago her 90th birthday.
Yay.
She beat the pants off me last night. I was like, I was like, Yeah, okay, fine. Don't tell me that you can't do stuff. We celebrated her 90th birthday, had the whole thing, and she cleaned my clock last night.
And no cheating involved. She did it literally.
She did it. We were on opposing teams last night, and just So sometimes it was like, just get out of your own way.
Get out of your own way.
Get out of your own way.
Right.
Now, I know one thing I was going to ask you too, Queens, that you have asking you about this 9 C's. So can you discuss a little bit about the 9 C's concept that you have?
Well, as we were interviewing the 315 episodes, women, now numbering 315, a couple of years ago, actually, we began to realize that there were some commonalities and that we should be analyzing them to understand these commonalities better. Mm. And so we came up with the 9 C's. We really concentrate on 6 now. And so they, everyone who we interview has a story to tell, as I said. And it shows up as courage or contribution or commitment or
curiosity,
creativity. Yes, compassion.
Self and others.
Yeah.
We're working on a book now. We have a book contract to basically write about these 6 C's, essential C's, drawing on the examples of the women in our podcast group. Mm-hmm. So that's
when it's ready to publish, let us know, and we'll have you back on the show to promote it.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes,
absolutely.
So I just want to make sure to clarify. I don't know if that's one of the C's. What was the 6 C's again?
Well, let's see: creativity, courage, compassion, curiosity,
commitment,
contribution, community. I guess we've got 7 there now, but
yeah. And so important. And I think community for me is one of the biggest things too, is because you have to know you're not alone.
Yes.
And if you're sitting at home, if you're watching this, okay, this is for somebody. If you're sitting at home watching TV, get your little bones out of your house and go join something. Whether it's go to the Y or join some kind of a group, come on a podcast, come on something, but get out of your house. Mm-hmm. And I'm speaking to myself here too. After my husband died, it was like, that was tough. Mm-hmm. But I didn't, and that was part of my story when I was on your show, was after my husband died. Didn't expect to be a widow at 60.
Yeah.
But you know what? There is life after widowhood.
Yeah. And some of the research shows that people, including women, who have the most positive attitudes about aging and who are in community with others are likely to live 7.5 years longer than those who have a different attitude.
Yeah.
So it's we have plenty of anecdotes about it, as well as research to back up why these are so important.
Right.
And it's all about what you say about, aging and reimaging. I'm just thinking about the whole concept about that. It starts right here. I always tell people it starts here to get to here.
Right.
Because, I have to start here and you got to get used to saying those things like, well, I can do that. I can go out and I can build a community and no matter what age I am. Mm-hmm. But then after a while, you're like, well, maybe I can't because now my bone, my back. And all of a sudden you goes back to that, oh, well, no, this is not going to work. Mm-hmm. But you have to keep continuously, like you said, with the C's to, encourage yourself and be curious. I love that what you have on the C's. Always be curious. Sometimes I'm a little bit too curious, but it's good to have that. I mean, you need to do that to open your mind and just ask those questions.
Yeah.
I love when Barbara was on our show and she talked about the widow's fog, having come out of her widow's fog. And that's a real thing. I experienced that myself when my husband passed away. Yeah. And it certainly takes courage to step out on your own and figure out who you are, not as a couple anymore.
Right.
Who are you now? That's when I went back to school for my master's degree.
And how old were you, Gail?
69.
Wow.
And how old are you now, Gail?
I am a proud 83.
This is amazing.
Exactly.
Yes, this is what I'm saying.
Exactly. And the thing I want to just piggyback on what you just said too is that widow's fog, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're a widow. It can be from anything. It can be from being downsized.
Yeah.
And you go into that abyss of negativity because you might not feel relevant anymore, or you're what am I going to do now? And you get stuck in that loop of what am I going to do? Who am I? What am I going to do? Who am I? What am I going to do? Who am I?
Yeah.
And that fog can be just as real for somebody who's been downsized or outsourced or whatever or retired. That's who I work with. People who are facing retirement, and they have no idea of who they are outside of their job title and their job description.
Yeah.
What am I going to do? Am I still going to be relevant? Well, yeah, you are. Let's find the way you are.
Yeah. I was going to add to that your list, Barbara, with divorce. Just recently, last year, was with somebody for 25 years, and we basically had to do separate ways. And everybody kept saying, Barbara, you're gonna hit this.
You're gonna hit a wall.
A death happened in your life. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. But then people kept telling me that. I kept saying, I'm okay. This is not like a downer thing. We needed to do this because for ourselves. I kept saying, I felt like I was defending myself, and they're like, yeah, that's all well and good, Barbara, but you're still gonna get that feeling of like a death type of thing on you because you've been with that person for so long, and it's just a big change. And it hit not as hard as maybe some people. Everybody has different ways, but I hear what you're saying when you go through that fog of wow, I think what really hit me hard too is when I was going to church service, and we used to be in the couples ministry. Well, and they said, well, Barbara, you can go to the singles ministry now. You can go. And I was like, oh God, I'm going back to singles. Really?
Exactly. And that's part of your identity.
It just kind of just hit when they said it. It was like out loud type of thing. Like, okay, you're in the singles ministry now. I was like, wow, for 20 some years I was in the couples now. Okay. And that, like you said, just getting used to that.
A lot of our guests talk about loss and grieving of one sort or another, and how they have managed to find a life for themselves.
Yeah.
And you can lose friends. You get up to be my age, and every day is someone new who is leaving the earth, this earth. And so, yes, it's definitely something we hear about all the time. It's not that the women are so upbeat necessarily who we interview. They are living life. They are despite illness, despite loss, despite everything that has happened to them. And you can't live this long without a lot of things happening to you.
Well, yeah.
Despite all that, they have found a way to contribute, to have purpose, passionate about what their pursuits are.
Yeah.
While they're helping.
Right.
Yeah. I love, Gail, how you brought that up, because like you said, the older we get, people, friends, whoever you knew, grew up, whatever, it starts to, dwindle down to the point now you just got to get new people, basically, because maybe all of them is like, so I'm glad you brought that up. But even in spite of all that, like you said, you're still thriving, you're still living, and you're still moving. And like you said, with the C's, I love the C's that you have to remind you to keep doing that.
I think a lot of people are not prepared for the shifting identities that we encounter, that we've just been talking about. But people used to live to about 65. They worked, they retired, then they died.
And they died.
That was
now we've got 20, 30 more years to live on, to live well. And our identities will shift for all the reasons we've been talking about. And yet many of us aren't quite prepared for that. We think we need to be holding on to what was, when we can, as we say, reimagine or reinvent who we are. We don't lose who we've always been, but we reshape it.
Reshape it, reimage it,
One of the things that, for like me, I'm in the wellness space. And one of the things, technology, they're saying that by the year 2035, which 11 years from now, they're going to double the age expectancy. And the age expectancy right now is 72. So they're going to double that. So those of us those of us now that are in the wellness space and that are doing the things that we're talking about, keeping yourself vibrant, keeping yourself mentally active, doing all those things, we're going to be well into our hundreds. Well into our hundreds, because we're going to keep ourselves as vibrant individuals.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, since you're going to be here longer, you might as well get some things done. That's what I say. Let's keep.
Like I had a gal. She said, well, I can't remember how old she was. And she said, well, you know what? I was thinking of going back to school, but it's going to take 5 years. I said, so what are you going to do in 5 years if you don't? Is anything going to be different? I mean, you're still going to be 5 years older.
Right.
All right, she says.
One of our guests, who is in her late 70s, just embarked on a doctor's degree.
Yeah.
Wow.
Why not?
Why not? Yeah,
that's right.
Like
my whole career has been based on the notion that people, as they age, are going to want to come back and learn more and accomplish more. So, the students that I've worked with have all been in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, seeking higher education.
Higher education, right. And be open to it. I talked to a guy the other day, and he was saying, he says, well, yeah, I know. I'm retired, and that's why I keep doing this. And I said, so he says, yeah, people want me to come and teach them. I said, well, then why aren't you farming yourself out to more and more communities that need what you do?
Right.
And he looked at me like, oh, never thought of that. So I'm hoping now that as I have more conversations with him and just say, hey, what are you going to do to get yourself out there, that this is your field of expertise? You've got people that are doing what you do now, and they're doing it, and people are dying because he's a road commissioner. And it was like, yeah, you need to get to some of these communities and teach them how to do what you do. He went, oh yeah. So maybe a seed is planted. And that's all what Barb and I want for this show is for people to come on and maybe have a seed planted. That you can have a different life than what you have right now. That you can do something, and age is just a number on a calendar.
Yeah. Well, age is a number on a calendar. There's also, so that's the chronological age.
Yeah.
There's also just differences in aging cohorts, if you will. And we don't want to put too fine a point on it, but you were talking about growing up, being a professional woman in the 70s. And so context is so important. What context were we in? Are we working in now? Are we playing in now? And age, I think we hear from a lot of people that age does matter, in that if we claim it, I'm 75, we all claim it. And this is what 75 looks like. This is what 83 looks like. This is what 70 something looks like. And the notion that we become more diverse as we get older is really important. So we're not wanting to lump older women into one big category, because we are all so many different identities and life contexts and circumstances. But what I think, I'm glad you like the C's, because that's our attempt to say, well, are there some themes that cut across all this diversity?
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's an ageist fact, that old people are all lumped together.
Right.
And that's the beauty of our show, because you get to hear how everyone is different. Everyone finds their own way and is doing all these fabulous things. Every time we have a guest on our show, including you, Barbara, every time we have a guest on our show, we are so inspired by who they are and what they're doing. You know, we look at each other and we say, wow.
Are we standing still?
Right.
Yeah. And which is why I wanted to have you on this show, because this is such an important subject.
It is. And
because
people,
it's not going to go away. It's not going to go away.
No.
Yeah. Well, we're all moving in life, because
we're all moving in life,
going to that direction. We don't go back, we go forward, like you said, Barbara.
And we all get to choose how we are going to move forward.
Yes.
It's always.
Are we going to move forward with vibrancy and with purpose and with passion and with and being visible for what we do?
And you know, women business owners there are more women business owners than male business owners now. And one of the reasons that happens is because women go through their careers working for corporations, and then they are asked to leave because they become a certain age. And so they decide, I have too much to give and too much to show for what I have, to leave at this particular age, whatever that age is. So they start their own businesses. Yeah. And they become very successful at the work that they used to do. Mm-hmm. Women business owners have been a passion of mine for my whole career. And I have worked with many, many, many women business owners. And it just always amazes me how they keep learning. Zoomed out.
Mm-hmm. Zoomed out. You know, and I always call them the Zoom gremlins or the time zone gremlins, or because, hey, I work with time zones all the time. Yeah. And you get some of the time zones, and a friend of mine, she is on the half hour.
What
does that mean?
Half hour. There's part of it goes all the way in the whole globe. There's a half hour. Parts of New Zealand, parts of Canada, they're on the half hour.
I didn't know that.
So she's 2.5 hours ahead of me.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, she's the one over from Eastern, but it's a half hour.
That's strange. Okay.
It's just and I never knew there was that until I was like, "Ooh, you're what?" Because we would have to absolutely say what time it is.
Oh my.
What time is it now? So yeah. So what are you looking forward to going forward? I know you've got some other things coming out. What are you excited about?
We just go ahead, Catherine.
Well, I mentioned the book. We're very excited about bringing that into life. Mm-hmm. We've got some other major events coming up, Gail. Coming up.
Yeah, right. We just signed on the dotted line for our next symposium. We're doing this on October 8th, 2025 at Plymouth Place in LaGrange Park, Illinois.
Cool. Yes.
So we're
in my neck of the woods.
Yeah. So it'll be easy for you to come.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Yeah, the last time you were there, it was like there was just a total conflict. But you know what? Yeah. But now that I know, I'll have to put it on my calendar, and then I won't have a conflict.
Yeah, exactly. October 8th.
October 8th. Okay, perfect. Yeah, and in LaGrange, it's close. Wow. Yeah. Good. All right. So now, what's going to be your main theme for it?
We are working on it as we speak. It's a secret.
We'll let you know after our steering committee meets.
Oh, right. But the thing is now it's not just you. There's going to be other people that are involved in this, and
oh, for sure. Yes. We when we did our first symposium last year in 2024, we invited a number of people to be on our steering committee, and they were just wonderful. They helped us identify what was most important. A lot of them became guests who who were speakers for the symposium and just helped us shape it. So we like to involve others in everything that we do.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the biggest things that so many young people, and it is not against young people, but they kind of they don't take advantage of the corporate, because, we can't do everything by ourselves. And you can get so many more ideas from other people. Like, I am part of 2 masterminds, because we'll bring one thing to the table and it'll be like, oh yeah, I could do that.
Yeah.
And it just absolutely broadens your horizons when you're open to it. And yet I have people look at me and go, "You're part of a what?" No clue.
Gail has her own mastermind group.
I do. I have a mastermind of women business owners.
Right.
And yeah.
Because we can all help each other, because when we bring one thing that we're either struggling with or we just want to have input for, when you can have other minds, like one of the ones that I'm in, we meet every Friday morning and we just talk about, hey, you know what's happening with this, new innovations, new tools that we found. Oh, you might want to try out this tool.
Sure.
And I have learned so much of the new tools that are out there.
Right. We joined a podcast collaborators group.
Oh,
which
I was just trying to mention that. Right.
For you. Yeah. Yes. And that's been really wonderful. And we support each other and share information about each other on our shows and in our newsletters and on social media, so that we can bring light to all that women are doing.
Right. And there's so many things that we are doing. Yeah. And in fact, the Dalai Lama, I was listening to a thing that somebody said from him, that this decade is the decade of the woman. That we are going to do more in this decade than has ever been thought possible. And it's because we are all stepping into our own power.
I want to,
our own, identities.
Yeah. I want to read a quote, though, that somebody mentioned this morning at our Aging Reimagined circle. There's no greater power in the world than the zest of a postmenopausal woman.
Right.
That's Margaret
love
Mead.
That.
Isn't that great?
and absolutely true. That we can be vibrant. It's like, absolutely, that we don't have to sit by and let life pass us by.
Well, the fact is that we are vibrant. We are not letting life pass us by. We are all vital, out there doing wonderful things. Yes.
Okay. Well, we'll see what's happening with Barb. Okay, she's here. Well, she's here, but she's back. So now we'll have to see what's happening with her. But yeah, absolutely the truth. And I think the biggest thing is that we can choose. We can choose every day. We can choose how we're gonna live our lives.
No matter what age we are, we can choose.
We can choose
every age.
So many. Exactly. Just because we're at an older age, yet I can remember living that. It was like, well, that was the way it was.
Right.
Because that was the norm. That was society. That was, you grew up, you got married, you had children, you do this kinds of stuff. All of the things of, you do this, and when you do this, you're going to have that, and then you'll become that. Well, now I just try to teach it the totally opposite way. Be who you're supposed to be, because when you are who you're supposed to be, then you will do what you're supposed to be doing, what you're called to do, what lights up your life, what makes your heart sing. And when you do all of that, then you're going to have a life that's worth living, the life that is absolutely out there for the taking.
Right.
And I think, Barbara, one of the things we really wanted to bring to light with our podcast guests is that it's not going to be the same necessarily with each decade. I have a really dear friend who's now 91, and she has limited mobility, and she's really lives in a semi assisted living facility, and she is wondering what gives my life meaning. What is my purpose? I'm not able to do the pottery the way I used to, or I can't go out and be about Portland the way she used to. So what is meaningful now? And as long as we keep asking those kinds of questions, rather than we have some sort of standard that never shifts, it has to shift.
Yes.
Right. I think that's the biggest thing, is that we have to shift. That's such a great word. We do, or pivot, or whatever you want that process to be.
No.
But we do have to embrace the process. We do have to embrace the process. So it just because if you don't, what's the alternative? Because life has no meaning. If life doesn't have meaning, chances are you're not gonna. That's what gives life to life. And when we stop doing that, I think that's when people just if you're not growing, you're dying.
And if you're not shifting, as Catherine mentioned, if you can't give your perspective a little twist,
right?
If you can't make it shift so that you can see differently, so that the world opens up to you, then you're stuck.
Right.
And we don't want anybody to be stuck. So shows like this allow us to put forth some ideas that maybe will be meaningful to someone.
Right. Yeah. And just to reframe how you see things. It's the old proverbial, do you see the glass half empty or half full?
Right.
So important, because when you can see the glass as half full, then the sky's the limit, because there is no limit, because you're the imagination.
I like to say, put your hands up to the ceiling, you can only go so far. But if you walk outside and you put your hands up to the sky, then life is unlimited.
Right.
Nice.
Exactly. So it's just absolutely, it's so amazing. Now I'm not quite okay. Well, we're going to have Barb. I'm not sure quite if we should end.
She has a message in your private chat.
All right, let's see what she says. Having tech issues, Barbara, you can, and then I can.
You can end.
Oh, you can end and then play the outro. Perfect. Didn't see that. All right. Ladies, this was absolutely a blast to have you. I am so glad that you were able to come on and just share your wisdom, and to share that there is life in our later decades. And I love the fact that I am in my 70s. Love the fact that I'm in my 70s. And it's just such a fun thing to be able to say, I'm turning 75 in May.
75 is even better than 74.
And 75 is going to be even better than 74.
And 83 is not bad either.
Yeah. So ladies, a final word from each of you.
I was just thinking, I was listening to a course this morning, and they were saying, it doesn't, maybe we shouldn't be talking about young age, middle age, old age, because of the diversity among us especially as we get older. And so maybe it's just this continuum of sort of middle age. And they said, maybe it just goes until you get so ill and you just die.
Yeah.
But that is just a really long continuum that has lots of transitions and adaptations and opportunities. Yeah.
All right. Gail, for you.
Don't lose hope. Don't lose joy. Life has something to offer all of us at every age. Whatever is happening to us, wherever our path is taking us, and we can get there because we're strong, we're smart, and we're wise.
Okay. Thanks again, everybody. Welcome to the Time to Shine Happiness Show, and we will see you next time. Have a good one. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Welcome, bye, everybody, and thank you so much for listening to the Time to Shine Happiness Show. I'm your host, Barbara Ellison, and I look forward to seeing you next time, where we will have a great guest talking about making happiness the norm rather than the exception. Because, you know, we believe that each and every one of us deserves to lead a happy, healthy, debt-free, abundant life, whatever that means to you. So join us again, and please, to get reminded, hit the subscribe button or the like button wherever you're listening to us, and we will see you next time. Have a great week. Bye, everybody.